There's always a hope. Rise and fight.
Games, Dawid all the way to the final game, and Sziky versus Mihu, 6 games, also very close. But just like the variety of scenarios we got to see in the games, completely wild series. And I thought, especially in the first series, it really could have gone either way. Mihu looked a little bit better than Sziky, but even there, it looked like Sziky just, if he was in late game a little bit better with his control, he could have turned that series around and even won, I think. But as it stands, I think we did get the 2 best players in the finals.
Yeah, I agree. I was really rooting for Sziky to take down Mihu, especially once he got the Hydra Lurker Defiler, because that's my favorite comp for Zerg, and I have such trouble beating it. But it does give us Dawid versus Mihu, which is a rematch of last season, and ain't gonna lie, I'm hoping to see somebody have an answer to the 4-fact. Doesn't mean you have to win the whole series, but I want to see a couple wins on the board for Dawid. He really wants to win here. He's gotten 2nd place last season. He's gotten it, I think, 3 seasons before that. And it would be his first championship in like 10 seasons or so. Meanwhile, Mihu wants to prove last season was no joke, and he wants to go for the repeat. But what about the series between Sziky and Zhanhun? That's going to be our first series of the day. What do you think about that series? You think it will be close? I mean, Zhanhun has impressed all season long.
Well, the thing is, if his PZ is as good as he showed his PvP and PvP to be, definitely we're going to have a fantastic series on our hands, because he beat Gypsy pretty convincingly. He beat Bonif, went toe-to-toe with the wall. Those are basically the 3 foreigners in the scene with their respective races. And then now he's going to go up against probably the best Zerg. And if his PvZ is as good as his other matchups, I definitely expect this to be, about even, because Sziky is also very strong against Protoss.
Yeah, I agree. Based on what we've seen previously from Zhanhun, this should be a very exciting series. Sziky has done really well lately versus Protoss. Like, he all killed in the race championships. I know he beat a strong Protoss earlier in BSL. The name's not coming to mind right now, whether it was Bonith or Dawid, but I know he beat an extremely strong Protoss earlier. He's very, very good ZVP. I would probably rank it as his best matchup, and that's even above his ZVZ, which looked unbeatable, especially versus Avilov. So, to me, I want to know what the map bans are, because yesterday we had Sziky first pick Turbine, and that has caused these players to actually practice. In fact, I saw a screenshot from Discord. Mihu practicing Turbine right now.
Yeah, and Sziky, that Protoss he beat was the wall 2-0 in the round of 16, I want to say. Yeah, round of 16. So very convincing wins too. And yeah, like you said, in the race championships, he all killed for the Zerg team, and that included beating Bonif. So his EVP right now looks like it's gone into another level.
Yeah, so Zhanhun, he's going to really have his work cut out for him versus Sziky. But as we stated before, he's taken down strong opponents. It's not like he got to the round of 4 or into the 3rd place match. I mean, playing weak opponents. I mean, they were all the top tier for their respective races. Trying to see whether we have the rate or the map set up just yet. It seems like, okay. So what's funny is yesterday Sziky picked Turbine. Now he got first ban, and he banned Turbine. And Zhanhun banned Metaverse. So Sziky has decided that our first map is going to be Goodnight. And I know that you don't like this map, Protoss versus Zerg.
No, this is not a good map in particular for PvZ. And I mean, Metaverse, it's just a weird map, but I think it's not as bad. You do get more gases or more bases with gas, but it's a definitely weird map. If you want to play a normal game, you pick Goodnight instead of Metaverse, but overall, I think this is just not a good PvZ map. And Turbine, interesting, I think it's very good for PvZ, so I can, I have that concept in my head that it's good for PvZ, and I can't really confirm without seeing a ton of games on it.
Yeah, I think everybody's in agreement that that's a very hard Zerg map, simply because the Protoss gets 2 bases for free. You don't really have to do a lot of defense. You have high ground advantage, and third base, the mineral only, right outside of Zerg base. If you take it, I mean, you can hit from all angles. So, not a shocker to see Turbine banned. Apparently, second map is going to be Ascension, which leaves us with Butter, Eclipse, and what's the last one? Oh, Monopoly. How can I forget Monopoly? So we've got pretty standard picks afterwards. What do you think map 5 will be? What do you think they won't play on least for PvZ?
Probably Monopoly, to be honest. Because I think Eclipse is kind of like both sides are okay with that map. Butter, both sides are okay with that map. So Monopoly definitely feels like the one that's going to be left out if it doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, well, Zero just messaged us, and surprisingly, Monopoly is going to be third, and then it's going to be Butter, and Eclipse is going to be last. I find that very surprising because generally, my experience on ladder and talking to people, everybody enjoys Eclipse. In fact, I think it's the #1 most played game or most played two-player matchup, two-player map on Spawnbong. It has over 10,000 games played on it in sponsored matches. So that is a bit shocking that neither wants to play that, or they at least want to play it last. But so the lineup is going to be Goodnight, Ascension, Monopoly, Butter, and Eclipse. We're getting a look at the profiles. As you can see, other than Season 11, we've got back-to-back 4th place finishes for Sziky. So he definitely, at minimum, wants to get 3rd place here. He doesn't want to have 3 times the 4th place finish. You know, he really wants to improve from previous seasons, and I think he can because his ZVP is really top notch. But meanwhile, Zhanhun, this is his first appearance. He wants to make a splash, just like Mihu. And regardless of his result, I would say he has done so because he has just been phenomenal, especially in PvP. Just absolutely crazy. And seeing the screen means we're ready. So let's go into game 1. Our first map is going to be Goodnight. Okay, in the top left, our blue Protoss. It is Sziky. Or no, it is Zhanhun. What am I thinking?
And in the bottom right, we have Sziky.
Okay, well, talk to us about openers. You play both sides PvZ. What do you think is the typical opener for Goodnight?
Both are viable. You could go gate, you get a nice 2-gap wall, or you could go forge because it's a 4-player map. There's that 1/3 chance to cross, and your gate expand really isn't gonna do anything, even if they go hatch first. So probably if I were game #1, you know, you wanna just play your game, you wanna go forge. But we'll see. Is this pro gonna go? Nope, it's not gonna go scout. So likely gonna be a gate here.
Yep, likely gonna have the gate
And
first.
this is a 9-pool.
Okay, so 9-pool versus gate. I mean, you have a bit of a few options here. You can go speed. I mean, that's uncommon, but you could go speed here. What are you looking? What type of damage are you looking to get done with the 9-pool? Can you kill the gateway with the 9-pool?
Best case scenario is this a cancel? Okay, I always get a little bit worried when you don't see that canceled. But yeah. If best case scenario is Protoss scouts you last and they send out that blindly, and then you can catch it, and then Protoss is in a really awkward position where they have to invest in a lot of defense. Cross map it's a lot less likely you're gonna get scouted seconds. Protoss knows to keep that Zealot back, and they're probably gonna play super cautiously, getting Forge and non-stop Zealot production before they make a Nexus. So all this will do is force Protoss to play defensively. If Sziky wants, he could only make 8 lings and then just go into economy from there.
Well, we'll see if that's going to be the case. We see the first lings are in production right now. Meanwhile, Drone not going to get blocked. Zhanhun barely missing the timing by like, what, a second or so. So a bit unlucky there, but he is going to know that this is a 9 pool. And he's going to have to pull that probe to the ramp because we know that a lot of Zerg players like to run by the Zealot in the open natural, of course. Oh, Drone just slips in. He's like, don't mind if I do. I'll just check and see that this is a gateway. No Nexus just yet. No Forge.
I expect this probe to go and make a Forge at the natural. With non-stop Zealot productions, he's going to have this block. Oh, actually, it looks like he's going to go for a Nexus here.
Okay, well, this feels greedy, but at the same time, I know Protoss players have really good control. But now he's going to have a wide open natural to just run by. He desperately needs something on the ramp. I know that from watching a ton of pro games. You got to have the probe and Zealot on the ramp, and it wasn't. And that means 4 lings are getting in, and you cannot let 4 lings get into your main base with somebody like Sziky piloting the lings. He almost gets a probe kill already. And behind this, 3rd hatch going down on location at bottom middle, and gas also going up at the same time.
Yeah, and this is why you don't go Nexus. You need to block. Fortunately for him, Sziky only made 6 lings, so there's not going to be any more lings flooding. Because you can imagine if there were 4 lings at the natural, that's a dead Zealot. And then he's fighting on 2 fronts. So far, very good control with the Zealots. Hasn't let any exposed probe get picked off. And Sziky just being as annoying as possible. Really want to keep these alive. If you can keep them alive till you have speed, then all of a sudden this becomes way worse for Protoss. Looks like 100 gas got spent, but I think... Nope, was it speed not there?
It doesn't seem like it was there, so that's, I think, like 80-second upgrade, something like that. So speed is pretty quick, but I gotta say, the lings have done almost no damage right now. I mean, if you're just gonna run around in my base and not kill anything, I'm fine with you running around all day long. So far, the lings not getting the damage they were looking for, but speed will be kicking in maybe about 40 or 50 seconds from now. And that's when they got to be careful, like you stated. But so far, Zhanhun's build has not been disrupted at all. I see the cybernetics even going down. It's like almost done. Yeah, it's about 70% done. And the Nat is kind of walled off once he gets the cannon down.
The speed is the key here. Like, the Zealots can't keep pace with the lings with no speed. Once that finishes, you can see how hard, or you will see how hard it will be to defend. I think Sziky's tech, otherwise, is still fine though, because you can see his lair is almost complete. Stargate should be starting. I think that's the Stargate right there. 1 probe finally goes down. Looks like a 2nd probe. 3 gas probes down. The lings are still alive, and this is where it starts getting scary for Protoss.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And also the natural was completely open because 2 Zealots and a single probe moved across the map. So there was a moment of vulnerability where if Sziky had lings to the side, he could have instantly backstabbed. But he has not done that. Instead, he did rack up those 3 probe kills. He now lost 2 out of his 4 lings, but still, they're being quite annoying. But these 3 Zealots somehow went across the map unscouted, and they're trying to get some damage done on that 3rd base.
Yeah, and this is where it becomes a fight on 2 fronts, and this is actually the best way to defend lings in your main. You just counterattack, because Zerg can't, like, it's really hard to control 2 locations at once, and it's like Sziky make lings out of the hatchery, so now you can get a surround, and I think this is just enough lings to deal with these 3 Zealots.
Yep, it seems like it's going to be barely enough, and he was confident in his ling count. You can see him even building additional drones, but 2 more, actually maybe even 4 more Zealots moving across the map, but there's an Overlord right outside the base, so he knows it's coming. Meanwhile, Ser is in production. Sziky built a round of lings, and he is going to catch one of these Zealots, maybe even a 2nd Zealot. That first one is definitely dead. 2nd one is kind of low already. He may be able to clean these up.
It's like with just a couple more lings, yeah, there they are. He will be able to deal with this. And now I'm wondering what the follow-up is. I don't see a 5th hatch, and I already saw the 2nd gas, so I'm thinking this is going to be quick Mutalisk here from Sziky.
really good link control. He body blocks, make sure they do not get onto the ramp, and that's going to be, what is that, 7 Zealots now, dying for, I would say, maybe 12 to 15 lings. That's an amazing trade.
Oh, this next is at the nether.
No! I do this so often. I don't know what it is about Goodnight, but whenever you see those 4 dots, that's where you're supposed to put the command center or nexus. But for some reason, every time I just see the top dots, like coming down, I see the top dots, I'm like, oh, that's where you put it. And actually, those are not the top dots. Those are the bottom dots. So his nexus, completely off. I don't know how much of an impact that will be. I mean, you need an additional probe on the gas, that's for sure, but how many do you actually need to mine efficiently on the mineral line? Not sure, but yeah, you can see 4 on gas right now. A big mistake from Zhanhun.
Well, I completely missed that. I'm pretty sure that's not the first time we got a glimpse at the natural, but that's not only 1 hex, that's 2.
Yeah. That is like some Blizzard map making, or it looks like Blizzard map making. A mineral positioning because of how far away that nexus is. Now we've got 3 mutas with a few scourge, actually 5 mutas with a few scourge. And 5 mutas is the number for 1-shot probe. And Zealots move out, and well, that was a mistake because they are just getting beat up by these mutas. Hannon at the natural, not done just yet. So he's going to have a lot of success picking off probes here, and when he sees this nexus, he's going to feel like, well, I don't even have to deal that much damage because you damaged yourself with this Nexus placement.
Yeah, and the Zerg's got to be careful. There's Scourge nearby. Sometimes the Zergs will even hide the Scourge on top of the Mutalisk or below them, and they could get pounced on really easy. This Zealot move out might get some damage done. There's only 1 sunken here. Link's completely out of position. It is 6 Zealots. They should have +1. So the Mutalisk have to retreat here.
Oh, look at that drone drill. I don't even think that he was meaning to do that, but it bought a lot of time. It forces the mutas and the lings back, but these 6 Zealots are not long for this world. The surface area on that sunken was pretty decent. 3 Zealots getting on top of it, but now they're going to have to run away. And there's no Corsairs trailing, so these Zealots are definitely going to get cleaned up. And I would say that was a decent trade for Zhanhun, but not ideal for him. He lost 6 Zealots for just 2 drones.
At least it kept the mutas away from his mineral line so he could get that cannon up. And now Ziggy's going to transition into 6 Hatch Hydra, it seemed. He only invested in 5 Mutalisks, a lot of Scourge, but of course the Scourge barely costs anything. And you see Zeke has this large amount of gas, surprisingly, considering how many Scourge he's made.
Yeah, I wonder what he wants to use this for. In ASL, we saw a lot of Muta play, actually, and even though me and Scan were really anticipating Lurkers, there was only a handful of games where Lurkers actually came to fruition. So I wonder if this is going to be the Mutas, or if we will see what I think is the better play, the Lurkers. It's so hard for a Protoss to deal with, but for now, it is only five Mutas. It's like 10 Scourge, though, so he definitely wants to pick off some of these Corsairs. It's sitting at 6. Which is almost critical mass. I think 7 is really the number you want, and then you just start shredding everything.
So I'm looking at 10 minutes. These are the additional gateways that are going up. I think it's a 7 or 6, 7, and 8. And it's pretty late. I think we're seeing the impact of this natural, like the mineral influx isn't as healthy as it should be. And it looks like these gates are a little bit late, but so far supplies are probably okay for Protoss. It's not being 30 ahead at this point. I mean, now is when Zerg is really going to start ramping up, when they get that 6 hatch and that extra larva. Now the mutas are coming back to natural. I mean, this is just a lot of damage getting done for only 5 mutalisks.
Yeah, not a huge commitment from Sziky with these mutas, and he gets a ton of probe kills. Meanwhile, again, another Zealot counterattack, but not going to have any success. Now look at that instant control on the Scourge. Didn't take any losses, and it's imperative you keep the Scourge alive as long as possible when there's a Corsair count this high. He has not found the mutas and Scourge yet, though. He has not found open overlords. He needs to get something done with these Corsairs. He may finally find them at top right, though. Will he get them? No, he's just barely gonna miss.
So I remember one of Soma's guide, the follow-up to the muta opener is you always go Hydra, but then you go Lurker before range. and that gives you a really fast, or basically the same lurker timing you would have if you never made Mutalisks, and then that can really catch some Protoss off guard. Lately, I've seen Zergs just really go and commit heavily into the Hydras and really delay that lurker tech, sometimes to their downfall. But here, Sziky has a very healthy amount of Hydralisks here. It's going to be hard to get High Templars across the map without them getting picked off. So he shouldn't be fearing an attack here with just Zealot High Templar. Protoss really wants to get those Dragoons out.
Yeah, especially after he's already killed something like 15 Zealots. He knows that, well, you can't have that much of an army right now. Not enough, at least, to break a mass Hydra army. And there are those lurkers, so this could have been for range, as you mentioned. And Nexus may get canceled. Here comes the Scourge. Nicely controlled. He has taken no losses at all. I don't even know if a single Scourge connected. Just one onto a single Corsair. Now these mutas are going to have to run. He does pop one of them. He pops an Overlord. But Sziky has those lurkers already set up. And I'm wondering, okay, where's your Robo? Does he have observers at all? Okay, he does, luckily. So lurkers cannot just instantly run across the map and deny this third base.
Yeah, this is a lot of lurkers. This isn't like 5 or 6 lurkers. This is more than a dozen lurkers here moving. And this is where it starts getting scared for Protoss. Sziky is supply blocked here, though, and Protoss not missing a beat with his Magro, already up to 150. These Mutalisks are basically forfeit. The engagement here is key. There's the Observer. This is a lot of Storm. I don't think Sziky should be this aggressively without scouting the High Templar number.
Well, so far he has burned one lurker. It is going to die in an instant, and as you mentioned, that's a lot of Templars. I would say there's not that many goons, though. It is just 5, so if he can spread out his lurkers and make sure to not take stacked up storms over and over, I think he could make a attack successful. But instead, he's just going to take his 4th base. It's going to be the mineral only, and he's going to be content with sitting in the center of the map right now. But, I mean, you don't have to attack straight through the center. Zhanhun can go around the side. So I don't know if really Sziky should be this far forward.
I do like this one lurker at the front there. It's just going to force... I mean, it already forced a storm. It got some shots off. Corsairs don't really want to be over the rally where there are a bunch of Hydras. They have to be careful. But looks like, just like you said, he can just move around and fight from a different angle. He's not forced to go through the middle.
Well, those Templars on the side already popped one Templar, almost got 2 more. Look how dangerously low they are. They at least are going to get off their storms, but he loses both of them. However, there is absolutely no defense at this 4th base. So if Zhanhun just barrels down right now, you have to think that that's a dead base. But at the same time, is this the mistake? There's a ton of Hydras on the high ground. Lurkers are going over to the right side. This could be a complete 360 surround, but the burrow was way too far away. And now Zhanhun is going to successfully just retreat here.
Yeah, but you can see he didn't commit. He really feared the flank from all those lurkers. Now, Sziky needs to reposition. Ooh, all the Corsairs get picked off. That's a decent storm. But it looks like the lurkers are repositioning to get on the high ground.
Oh no, that is not the scenario that Zhanhun wanted. He doesn't have any storms available. Look how fast these goons are dying. The Observer's way out of position too. All of those goons almost die in an instant. And Sziky's supply is plummeting, but Zhanhun's supply also equally plummeting. A single storm tries to save the day, but with reinforcing Hydras and Hydras and Lings, Sziky should be able to clean this, but it's still a pretty even trade, actually. Both players going blow for blow. He ends up only escaping with like 5 goons, and that's it.
Yeah, but at least he killed all those lurkers, and looks like he's going to reinforce. If he can cap this high ground, it's going to be very awkward for Sziky to engage. He doesn't have that many more lurkers. He has 1, I see. He's making a lot of Lings. Lings don't really help out here when Protoss is on these upgrades. He manages to get a hatch. And I really think he should probably retreat here. I think without Storm, you can't really press on, and he is expanding behind us.
Yeah, he's got his 4th base coming up. He killed a hatch, like you said. That's a great catch for him, but he did lose a lot of his high-tier units to goons. All of the Templars died. He's going to have to rebuild those, but at the same time, Sziky lost all of his lurkers, so you would say it was probably even-ish trade in terms of value or the high-tier units being lost. Sziky, okay, now he's going to finally fix his gas mining at his natural, but Zhanhun, his killer macro is going to start kicking in now. He's at 130 supply. He's got 4 bases. He's got only 8 gate. I'm surprised to see that. I would expect a little bit more on 4 bases, but he's got 3 gases now. So now he's really going to start pumping out those Templars.
Yeah, and something I missed. I was wondering why Sziky was making so many links. It's because he already has Hive. I expected him to stay Hydro Lurker longer than he did. So already having Hive, it's a huge boost. You can see he already has carrot base upgrades. He's going to start getting cracked. Already has a Defiler mount. That means Swarm and Plague are not that far off. And even though Protoss has 4 bases here, you gotta remember only 3 have gases. So it's actually really important that he took 12 first. So all in all, I think the game is pretty even, but Zyky's position, because of his Hive, you'd think 4 base versus 4 base is good for Protoss, but 4 base Zerg with Hive is on equal footing against a 4 base Protoss.
Yeah, especially when Zerg can get their upgrades up and running. He's at 2-1 on his Hydras. I already saw Defiler out. If he can use his Plagues effectively, I would even favor Zerg simply because of how punishing Plague plus Darkstorm is, especially since they nullify not just goons, they also nullify Archons too. So really you're relying only on Storm and Zealots to take down anything under Darkstorm. We've got another attack coming in. 3 lurkers on the high ground, gonna push this back. Oh, Zhanhun, maybe he wants to storm and try and push up here. That's a good storm.
He still has several High Templars in the back. One gets picked off as it was morphing into an Archon. That's absolutely huge. One of the things you always want to do is, especially in late game, is you want to make those High Templars immediately into Archons so that you can start fighting back against the Lings. And I'm wondering what Protoss upgrades are, because if Protoss still only has 1 weapons, looks like I can't. Yeah, that's just 1 weapons. Oh, it's actually +2, so he's fine. You always want to be 1 ahead of Zerg so your Zealots can fight the Lings effectively. Looks like he's gonna fight here. Different rank. Only 2 lurkers here, but near Zyky's rally, he's really got to be careful.
Yep, and there's that Darkstorm that I was mentioning, and you can see that Protoss is aware, like, okay, the majority of my army is actually Dragoons, so I can't fight into this. He backs off for now, tries to catch some straggler units outside of the Darkstorm, but no way he can engage to that. Meanwhile, Sziky has his 5th base up. Just needs to transfer some drones over there. And look at that saturation at that 3rd base. It's a lot of drones. So big eco from Sziky. He's on like 8 hatch production. I mean, that's a ton, especially when Protoss only has 9 gateways.
Yeah, and Sziky is going to start taking all of the map now that he has some map control. The Dragoon count is still high. One thing I haven't seen is a Plague, because a Plague will make all these armor upgrades completely useless. And looks like a Defiler here with some Lings. This could be it.
Wow. Both players are going to engage in the center. I like Zyky's position more. He gets the Darkstorm down. The Zealots are going to not be able to get in here. Archon can't do any damage either. And again, Zhanhun's going to have to turn around. I think he needs to start playing defensively, actually. Need to get up more high-tech units, get up Reavers, get up something that can actually trade versus these units on high ground that just sit under the Darkstorm. He instead did kill bottom left with just a small handful of Zealots. And again, he's going to start posturing on that side of the map to deny any more bases being taken over there. And +3 armor just kicked in.
Yeah, double forge. You can see the power of double forge. And Sziky is on +3, +1 carrot base only still. I think the Lings will have 1 attack. But again, if we see juicy plagues here, this armor upgrade becomes completely nullified. So Sziky is really going to need that, as he is facing now a max Protoss with Archons and, well, not a lot of High Templars here. It looks like he needs to reinforce. I don't know about this though. Going into the middle, there's not a lot of Zerg here, but Zerg will always trade efficiently. Zerg is getting a ton of spines, and then it looks like Zyky's going for a counterattack.
Well, there's a decent amount of Storm here and a lot of Zealots, and this is not a big attack from Sziky. He put down the Darkstorm, but this was not successful at all. He needs to plague something to kind of get some damage done at least. He plagues a handful of Dragoons, but that was not really the attack he was looking for. Luckily for him, it was not a huge attack, so he doesn't lose too much. Supplies are still about 40 in favor of Zhanhun, though, and now Sziky started to take the top right side of the map.
Yeah, but this is going to get shut down very quickly here. Protoss is still maxed, and this is enough Archons that even under swarm, they could just pick off the lanes. Sziky is going to reinforce. You can see a lot of red streaming across the map. Not a lot of lurkers here. Finally, some lurkers arriving. There are only 4 or so zealots, so these lurkers under swarm, unless they get stormed, are going to be immortal. It looks like just the lurkers will push that back.
Yeah, it's crazy how strong just a couple of lurkers are under Dark Swarm when you have only goons, only archons. But top right did get denied. And meanwhile, Zhanhun setting up to take bottom left himself. Instead, Sziky instantly pounces on that. Now, not sure what's in that shuttle. Probably DT, Templar, and Zealot for harassment, not a Reaver. But you can see Zhanhun realizing he needs to secure one side of the map, whether it's top right or bottom left. So he instantly comes down here to defend, while at the same time going for harassment at the 4th base. That's a lot of drones over there, especially with another drone cycle coming in. Oh no, he's going straight into the main.
Yeah, so this is probably Zealots, and yeah, just Zealots, and then probably High Templars. And he's gonna harass the healthiest base from Sziky. Minute only in maybe 3 o'clock. It's a nice pull from Sziky. Not a lot of drones at that 5th base. Looks like a lot left over in the main.
Yep, Templar unloads. Actually hasn't gotten any kills yet. Maybe he gets like 2 or 3 right there on the on the drones mining the extractor. But other than that, that drop kind of helped Sziky, honestly. He found those 10 idle drones and he will transfer them somewhere safe. Zealots are going to get cleaned up, but it does make chaos on the map, and Zhanhun is moving into position on this 3rd base, and he has found a bunch of defilers, a bunch of lurkers. None of the defilers had any energy yet, but with consume being instant.
Plague.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's so much damage on those Zealots and Dragoons.
That's like 1,000 points of damage in an instant. But look at the comp from Sziky. It's just Lings right now. There's no Hydras. There's only a single Lurker. Can he hold this? Archons have +3 weapon, so they're one-shotting the Lings, and there's still a lot of Goons and Zealots left over.
Yeah, but without an overwhelming number of Storm, I think Protoss really has to retreat. You can see, yeah, he's realizing that, and he's not going to lose a lot of Dragoons here. Or is he? These Lurkers find still damaging the Dragoons. I'm looking. +1 Carapace has been there for Sziky. Finally, he gets +2. So now these Lings are going to be packing a punch. They're going to be doing a lot of damage as well. The Zealots are still alive, actually, and getting anything here is absolutely massive. The Spire or even the Evolution Chamber would be crucial, but looks like these Lings are just barely going to be in time.
Yeah, maybe. Oh my gosh, he needs one more hit. Oh. Wow, 6 health, barely surviving. And I noticed Zhanhun now has +1 shield, so he's really keeping up with his upgrades. He's almost going to be at 3-3, actually. He may even be at 3-3 before Sziky gets to 3-3. Top right natural base is being taken from Sziky. Zhanhun still at 160 supply, but he's struggling to get another base. He's struggling to get the max also, even though he has 4 gases. Doesn't have... does he have an overwhelming amount of Templars and Archons? I don't think so. Oh, that is a lot of Archons, actually.
What he doesn't have, though, is Reavers, and sure, High Templars are great, but energy is limited. You really need a more reliable way to splash Zerg units, and without Reavers, looks like the support base finally done, but with only 1 Robo, usually you see Protoss just make triple Robo at their natural or wherever their Robo is, and just really start building up that Reaver count, because you really need something. Unless you're keeping Zerg army weak with constant harass, it looks like the shuttle was going for that, but unfortunately, rally there. Looks like he's going to go for a big attack at top right as he's harassing.
Yeah, Zhanhun getting desperate, though. He's attacking uphill into Dark Swarm Lurkers. He has a decent amount of Zealots. He has a lot of Storm, but the Archons obviously don't help here. Now, that transfer of drones was a bit ambitious, and I would say a bit lucky that they actually survived. However, Protoss has busted through somehow, but with more reinforcing Zerg coming across the map, this Protoss army may be stuck, but he should at least be able to kill this hatchery and a ton of drones. Oh my god, look at those Archons splash those drones. Somehow, oh, they run into a storm too, so all the drones die almost.
Alright, so this is a scenario where Protoss is going to kill the base, but likely lose the army. Looks like he's going to go up the high ground, just trying to be as cost efficient as possible with this, because once you lose this army, Zerg can get map control, and Zerg with map control all of a sudden starts expanding everywhere. So he really needs to keep this army alive as long as possible, and hopefully secure a 6th base, because pretty soon he's going to be running out of gas. It's like this shuttle just barely gonna escape. Mineral wise, he's still in a healthy position, but the gas is what's really gonna start limiting his army composition here.
Yeah, he should be mined out in his main and nat gas. Obviously, we're at the 26-minute mark. His third gas might be mined out for Zhanhun too pretty soon. Dark Swarm comes down, and that means that these Lings are just going to wreak havoc on these Archons. Meanwhile, a lot of Zealots have gone down to bottom left, and he does open up the natural and the main. Another storm drop. There's a ton of drones here, and he connects onto something like 15 or so, and that's really going to damper Sziky's econ, especially since he already lost those drones at top right. I mean, look how many he has left. Maybe 30 or so mining minerals. That's it.
Yeah, and this is what he needs to do. Look at how annoying this army is. Sziky's being forced to deal with this. As he's dealing with harass, this allows Protoss to take the bottom left base. And if he could get some cannons secured, cannons with high Templars to secure that base, he's going to be in a great position. Because Sziky, economically, is not that healthy after that massive harass.
Yeah, that is a ton of Lings, though. Zealots trade effectively versus Lings, but not when their Zealots are plagued. Sziky gets on top of the cannons as they're completing, but with reinforcements coming in, Zhanhun just has too much. He's going to stabilize this base, and now again we're going to go into a somewhat even position. It's going to be 6 base Protoss versus 6 base Zerg, but I'm slowly favoring Protoss's position more and more because Zerg is kind of mining out. Like the 4th base mineral only is almost mined out, and he doesn't really have top right up and running just yet.
Oh, that's a huge plague. Looks like he's gonna get 2 huge plagues here. This army is very weak. Looks like instead he's just gonna counterattack, and this is the move Sziky was looking for. Army out of position. These Lings will make quick work of this Nexus, and we're back in a position where Protoss is gonna be struggling to get more resources. Look how quickly that Nexus goes down.
Yeah, that was a great counterattack, and unfortunately for Zhanhun, out of position for just a second, and Zerg knows exactly how to take advantage. However, Zerg's going to lose all of his Lings, all of his Defilers, and I realized Zhanhun lost the Nexus, but he kept almost all of his army alive.
Now, one thing to mention, Sziky got 3 plagues off, and I think that means almost all of the Protoss army is in the red here. It's going to be a very weak army, despite how menacing it looks. Like, everything is gonna melt super quickly.
Yeah, you can see right there, like, what, 4 Hydras or so just instantly pop that Dragoon in, like, one volley. That's a huge probe transfer. And I'm hoping that Sziky does not reposition those Lurkers to the left side, because if he does and those probes bounce back, those probes are all gonna die. And here we go, another attack. Question to me is, where do those probes go? If they come back to the center, they are dead.
Man, looks like they're going through the Hydra and Link Fire. Another swarm is going to allow him to reposition these Lurkers. Probes have nowhere to go, and I mean, with just Storm to hold off those Lurkers, it's going to be very difficult for Zhanhun to reposition some of his rally. He's going to have to go through Lurker fields.
Oh my god, he does bleed off some of his probes. Actually, Sziky has a supply lead now. It's 126 to 114 with Defilers, with Lings and Lurkers on high ground. Zhanhun desperately needs this base. More red flooding across the map, but Protoss holding strong with a ton of Storm in the back. Zealots trying to hold through the Dark Swarm, but with more Lings coming in, is it enough? It looks like it may just barely be, but with more red flooding in, maybe not. Lurker's gonna get on top of the cannons. We know Dark Swarm nullifies all of that damage, and now this has been breached. All these probes are gonna die, and look at Zhanhun, he's giving it up. He's going for a counterattack at top right, but I think there's still a lot of defense set up there.
Yeah, and there might even be a Nidus. Looks like no Nidus, so at least he has an opportunity to get in here. This is a lot of Zealots, which isn't really what you're looking for. High Templars help out, but they lag behind. You want Archons with this composition.
What an amazing game. We knew this game was, or this series was going to deliver in game 1. We've got a slugfest 30-minute ZVP. Lurkers are going to die top right, but as you stated, you need Archons. There's a lot of Storm, but it's hard to use 5 Templars. In fact, he kind of, I don't know if he necessarily wasted a Storm there, but he only gets a single Lurker. However, this base has been breached, and look at Sziky's money. Both players under 100 minerals. Sziky desperately needs this base also.
Ooh, that's a decent play. Gets 3 Zealots. It's like Zyky's gonna reinforce with a lot of army, but I don't think he's gonna be here in time. At least all the drones are gonna go down. I think the Nexus will, or the hatchery will survive, but he's gonna have to transfer drones from another base.
The storms are really doing work, but now lurkers and lings are set up, and this base is still alive for now, but the Archon's dealing a lot of damage to that hatchery. Finally, it is going to get killed, and the entire drone line gets wiped out. But look at supplies, it's now 90 to 75. We see Zhanhun's mid-left base is still fully functional. It still has a decent amount of patches. I'm thinking, okay, what about Zyky's? Okay, so it is fully functional too. So basically, we've got one base Zerg versus one base Protoss. However, Zerg has another hatchery at top right, another potential base.
Yeah, looks like it's all gonna come down to this base. If Protoss can break it, then he has a shot to come back in this game. If Protoss can't, then Zyky is a base ahead. And the thing is, look at this, like one plague on this army.
Yeah, and it's all Zealot. I mean, look at that army. It's pure Zealot. As you stated, a single plague, it hits like 6. It's just too much. The Archons may save the day with the +3 weapon. Okay, Zyky's got to be careful with his engagements. The supplies are dangerously close. And Archons, we know, one-shot lings with their +3 weapon. Another plague could be devastating to this army, though. Look, he's trying to get it. There it is. He hits 4 out of the 5 Zealots, and now this army is extremely weak.
These are mincemeat Zealots against these lings. The Archons, if you can keep them, like the reason you want Zealots is so they buffer for your Archons. But if they just die instantly, then it's just basically a waste of 100 minerals. But you can see Protoss only has 200 gas. Very hard to get a lot of Archons here. I think he's basically just on 1 gas with 3 depleted. And Zyky is securing this position. A little bit surprised. I think he's just so starved for minerals that he can't even afford a Nidus. So that's why we haven't seen a Nidus. He maybe wants to take that top right base, but it's very low on minerals here. And looks like, I mean, Protoss' best bet is to harass and expand here. A frontal assault not likely to work anymore.
Yeah, but it was so close to working. The Archon counts at 4. I think if he had something like 6 Archons, he could have potentially busted through. How does that shuttle go unscouted? I have no idea, but it is overlooking that hatchery. And if it unloads, this is all of the drones of Zyky. Oh my god, he gets almost half of the drones with just 2 storms. And again, the econ is going to be obliterated by just a shuttle drop.
Yeah, this is what he needs. He needs to keep Zyky occupied as he expands and grow that Archon count. You see it's at 3. He has some High Templars to support. Don't really want to mix in a lot of Zealots. You can see he's taking that Nexus now. And if he can take bottom left as Zyky's taking the top right bases, then we're looking at an even map split with only the middle to fight. So this game can go on for quite a lot longer. The one thing for Protoss, it's very hard on good night to split the map this way. And like once Zyky gets a supply around 140, 150, then he's gonna have the opportunity to hit both his natural and the new bases at the same time. Looks like another shuttle coming in. Only 1 Scourge. It's not gonna be enough to stop this.
Oh my gosh, the drone transferred. Okay, he saves the majority, loses 1 drone there. That was good defense from Zyky. But Zhanhun, he's buying time to get that base up and running. And I'm thinking, okay, if this splits, Zhanhun's going to get bottom left. Zyky's going to get top right. It's going to come down to really, can anybody take a mineral only? Can anybody get the center of the map? And actually, a lot of times when I see Protoss get the center of the map, it's just unbreakable. Reverse it on high ground. Storm from high ground. Cannons from high ground. I'm actually kind of worried for Zyky now that Zhanhun actually got bottom left, because this army is very strong. Look, actually half of it is high tier units. It's 5 Templars, 4 Archons. That's a lot of high tier stuff that Protoss has. Meanwhile, if you look at the high tier stuff Zerg has, I realize he's got some lurkers, but they're spread out all over the place.
More harass, just non-stop harass here. And this is what he needs. He needs to keep Zyky from growing. Once Zerg gets enough supply to both attack 2 locations at once, then it starts getting scared. So the longer he can delay that as he's taking his bases, the better scenario it's going to be for Protoss. One of the problems with map split on good night, though, is that Protoss is going to end up with 2 mineral onlys. And in a map split scenario, the mineral onlys really do not help. So even if they get that map split with the mineral onlys, I don't think it's actually enough. I think Protoss actually has to take the middle as well.
We've got a 20 supply lead somehow for Sziky. Just a moment ago, he was down 15 supply, but here he is up 20 now. He catches the Defiler, and Plague is obviously so brutal versus Protoss that it could come down. Oh my gosh, he got onto high ground with the Lurkers, with Dark Swarm, and multiple Defilers. That's a Plague onto the cannons, and that's going to make them even more susceptible to the Lings. Here come the Archons, though. Oh my gosh, did Sziky really prevent him from reinforcing this base? Oh, DK!
Sziky somehow realized it though, and this can get cleaned up. It's only 3 lurkers, and if Sziky's attention is elsewhere, he's not going to be reinforcing bottom left. A lot of drones going down. Looks like he kills 1 lurker with Storm, and now he's confident enough to move through the lurker field. Gonna clean this up. Oh, there's still a couple lurkers. Observer not moving, but at least he secures that high ground.
Yeah, there's a single lurker there doing so much damage. It even kills a zealot additionally. I mean, look at that. Those Archons. You're telling me 5 Archons can't kill a lurker? Look at this. They're still attacking it. Meanwhile, reinforcements from Sziky. This is a lot of Lings, a lot of lurkers, and with Dark Swarm there, now all of a sudden there's nothing that Zhanhun has that can bust Dark Swarm. There was absolutely no storms. I don't think a single zealot left over.
What is he doing? Why is he moving away from the defense? Looks like he wants to reposition the army, maybe cut off reinforcements. Not really sure. This is a lot of High Templars reinforcing, but again, no Reavers here, just Storm. And as you can see, Storm, yeah, it's great, but it can't, like, you can't just Storm over and over again like a Scarab coming out of a Reaver.
And Zhanhun, he's okay, he's going to send his Templars in first to try and get some more storms done. He needs to desperately kill the Defiler, but it's not under that Dark Swarm. Lurkers are moving into position under the Dark Swarm, and the cannons can't deal damage to them. Luckily, there's multiple Templars there to take those down, but this is so razor close. Zhanhun desperately trying to reinforce bottom. Oh no. Are we going to disconnect? Are you serious? There's no way.
Almost a nerve-wracking moment there, but looks like a lot of Archons here now to support. He's got to be careful though. He doesn't want to move too far forward. He's pretty close to where the majority of Sziky's army is. Looks like he is gonna secure this base, or well, Sziky's pushing forward. He wants to get under that Dark Zone. Then he'll really be almost immortal. Really gonna force Zerg, Protoss to use all their storms here.
These 5 Archons have survived the entire time, and the fact that they're still alive is a huge deal. Look how many kills they have. Like, they're able to kill so many Lings. He's going to kill this Defiler now. I'd really like to see him get a battery or something to charge them up, because Archons are so expensive. It's definitely worth spending 100 minerals simply for them to recharge even just one of them. Meanwhile, Zerg realizes that this is the most important base on the map, so he's going to consistently reinforce this. Can the shuttle get in? The answer is yes, somehow. Oh no.
What? Looks like he's going to get only 2 drones. That could have been way worse. Looks like another High Templar unloads, and he's going to get the remaining drones. And I mean, this is fantastic. This is exactly what he needs. You can see Sziky hasn't been able to get any more supply than 130, and Protoss is finally taking bottom left main, so that's another nexus, another resource, and then another income of gas that he's gonna have. And the more gas Protoss has, even if they're depleted, the scarier their army starts to look. That's a plague, but that's like a 30 damage plague, not really that impactful.
Well, more Lings coming in, but as I stated, these Archons have +3, so they one-shot the Lings. Now, I'm sure you've been in a similar situation many times where both sides, where you're Protoss or Zerg. Zerg, you want to definitely kill this bottom left base, but Protoss, he's putting all of his defense here. Do you think it would be worth to just try and kill the main, like whether with a drop or just send everything top left?
I think one thing you don't want to do is just go for a frontal attack, because sometimes they have enough High Templars to defend that pretty easily. But if you could mix in a cup, just like 3 Overlords of Lings and a Defiler, to go into the main when you know Protoss is going to be really focused on the bottom left, is definitely worthwhile. But looks like Sziky's just going to press forward. I don't even know if he has drop research, because he could also drop this main.
It's just endless, man. It's just non-stop harassment, and the longer this goes on, the more I'm liking Zhanhun's position. The Zerg has not been able to breach this Nexus in like, what, 5 minutes or so. Archons are going to come in here, not going to be able to fight under Darksworn, but the Cannons and the Templars are holding their own. And Zhanhun has the main setup now. Like, that's actually running. He now has 2 base mining, Lurkers into position. They're going to be able to fend off these Archons, and maybe now he'll be able to finally get through the Cannons, but there's still so many Templars there.
I don't know how many storms there are. The Cannons have been plagued, so they will go down very quickly. Looks like a lot of Zerglings coming across the map. This is razor thin for Protoss. Another swarm on those Lurkers is going to be very hard to move through that. Looks like the storms have run out. It's only Cannons. There's one High Templar with 3 storms.
He does realize they have multiple storms, so he's going to blow all the storms just to try and save this Nexus. Lings are killing almost all the Cannons. The Archon and the Zealots will knock down that Lurker, but the Nat finally been breached. Another storm, more probes falling to these Lings though. Desperation on the Defiler, even just eating up all of his overlords. More Darksworns coming in, Zerg streaming across the map. It's only like 3 Lings, but there's only really 2 Zealots to deal with him under Darkstorm. Now with more Zealots coming in as reinforcements. Oh, that's a great plague. Hits the majority of the Zealots. Another great Darkstorm on top of the Lurkers. But these Zealots are so weak they may end up dying to the Lings. Oh no, we got isolated Templars!
They at least get some massive storms on those Lurkers. It's only Lings now. Zealots are pretty weak though. Can Sziky just send another round of Lings to deal with this base? That's basically all he needs. But you can see Protoss is reinforcing quickly. We still have a slight supply lead for Sziky.
I feel like Sziky's just running out of steam here. I realize he has more Lings than Protoss has, you know, Archons and Zealots. Right? Oh, okay, he got a couple of Lings into the sweet spot under the Dark Swarm, and those crucial Archons end up falling. There's no Cannons completed right now. The Zealots and the Templars are trying to move in, but actually the Templars are body blocking the Zealots, making it very hard for them to get down here quickly. Lurker sets up. That's another great plague. Barely any Lings left over, but maybe just barely enough Zealots to clean them up. Oh, look at those 2 Lings. They kill like 7 Zealots.
And they even kill High Templar trying to morph into an Archon. Looks like the 2 Cannons will be enough, but now with no units here for Protoss, only Cannons and probes. I think Sziky's finally done. He's finally broken through this last base for Protoss. He's gonna pull into the main, but there's no defense here either. And yeah, Sziky finally did it. 42 minutes into this game. A couple Zealots here coming to defend, but not enough.
Oh my god, this series already delivering in game 1. A 43-minute ZVP, and finally, Sziky takes the win in one of the most epic ZVPs I've ever seen. Non-stop harassment from Zhanhun, but in the end, the counterattacks from Sziky, just too much, and eventually Zhanhun falling apart. I can't believe it. I thought that actually Sziky was going to be the one running out of steam, because the Templar count was so high.
It was that close. It was that close. If Protoss just has maybe a couple more minutes to get... I mean, the main problem is he couldn't reinforce that position. Like, every time he came with Zealot High Templar, they just got caught by random Lings, Defiler, Lurker. And Sziky was just faster to reinforce, and it really was just that close to Sziky breaking or Sziky not breaking.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the closest ZVPs I've ever seen. And so we know Zhanhun's PvZ is top notch, just like his PvP and PvP. I'm not surprised. But Sziky now, you know, I thought, okay, his Zerg versus Protoss is super deadly, killing DeWalt earlier, that maybe he'll just be a favorite in here, even though he wins game 1. Amazingly tight game. And I think Zhanhun could definitely bring it back 3-2 in his favor. We're going to be going into his map pick now. Goodnight was Sziky's map pick. And second map is going to be Ascension. So this is going to be a little bit of a better map for Protoss. So if we do get into another split map scenario, I think it would favor Zhanhun. However, it's Ascension. You can't split map that. It's once somebody gets another main, you're fighting for your life.
Yeah, you will have at least every base with gas, but yeah, like you said, you can't split a 3-player map. One thing he really stood out was his harassment. He really kept Sziky's economy from ever blowing up. So Sziky was always fighting with maybe like 3 to 4 control groups of units. He never got that overwhelming mass The Swarm, the Zerg really gets late game against Protoss. You never really saw that, so Sziky had to be very cost efficient with just a handful of units every time they had an engagement.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can take this. Yesterday, most epic best of sevens I've ever seen, and now we're already in game 1 of today. I have a feeling we're going to have 12 epic games today, too. Second map is Ascension. We're ready. Let's go. Okay, in the top middle, our Zerg player just barely getting by in game 1. It is Sziky and NKU Bobo. Thank you for the massive tip. And apparently it comes from Pikachu and all the Mihu fans in China. Thank you so much for supporting the BSL.
I saw earlier there was another big tip, not as big as this one, from the same person, basically saying more support from China. So I think the Chinese fans also enjoying BSL like we are.
Yeah, I mean, last season I know they donated a lot too, so thank you so much for supporting the BSL. You're the lifeline, keeping BSL running. We know, actually, the goal is now at almost 4,000, I think, out of the $5,000 goal. So we're already almost at our goal for BSL Season 15, so definitely consider making a small donation. We can get there. I know we can. This is our last day. And we've got a 9-pool opener from Sziky. We saw this last game, so it's the exact same build order choice. Meanwhile, okay, exact same opener from Zhanhun. It's going to be another gateway expand.
Yeah, so we're looking to have some fireworks. One difference here, it's not going to be cross map. So if Sziky wanted, he could definitely be more aggressive. But I don't think we're going to see Nexus before Forge like we saw on the last map.
Yeah, that felt ambitious. That felt a little too much. Even for myself, not being a Protoss player, I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay. That seems like a little too greedy. He did get punished eventually by those lanes. Remember, they killed 3 pros, but initially it looked like, okay, well, maybe this isn't as greedy as I thought. So maybe with better control, he's thinking like, maybe I can get away with the Nexus again. But Sziky gets first scout off. He knows this is another gateway expand, so he sees exactly what's going on. And unfortunately for Zhanhun, his pro's going to be slightly too late to deny this hatchery.
And he's going to get the hatchery down at 209. So, I mean, 12 o'clock Ascension is really good for mineral mining. Like, usually when you go 9-pool or with the extra drone, you don't get this hatchery down until 2:15, but he got it at 209. So, really fast. That's almost an overpool timing, basically. And 6lings are out. Let's see what Protoss does. Are they going to respect the threat? Because there could always be more lings here. Looks like no Forge quite yet. This is a lot of minerals. Looks like we're going to go into Nexus again.
Well, I don't want to jinx this. I'm hoping that the pylon does not block this Nexus. Doesn't look like it does, but based on last game Nexus positioning, I'm hoping that it doesn't block it.
Alright, so this time we're not going to go Nexus before Forge. Playing a lot more safely. It's only 5 lings with 2 zealots. Pretty easy to deal with. Like, the lings, they really just want to damage this gateway, maybe get some shield out, but not really going to be able to get it in. This is a 2-gap wall. Looks like one zealot gets surrounded.
Gotta be careful, but Zerg also has to be careful, even though the probe doesn't look very menacing by itself when it's comboed with a single zealot. 1 probe shot plus 2 zealot shots, that equals a dead ling. And we can see that the ling count has been knocked down to just 3 now. Meanwhile, behind this, 3rd hatch going down on location. It looks basically identical to last game. The only difference this time around is we see the Forge faster than the Nexus. Meanwhile, I see in the main, gas already coming up for Zhanhun, and we'll be going into mid-game momentarily. Also, gas already up and running for Sziky, and he spent 100 gas somewhere.
That's speed.
Okay.
He's going for speed, probably speed into lair, and you can do this against Gateway Expand in some scenarios where you know they don't have super fast tech. Otherwise, you really do need lair first. And I like how he's blocking. He's going to hide the fact what tech choice he's going for, because now this is going to be lair. He's going to make lings now because he should expect a zealot move out anytime now.
The last game I think we saw, was it 6 zealots move out? They didn't get much damage done. I think they killed a Sunken and 2 drones. I mean, okay, that's a decent amount of damage actually.
But he's at 4 right now. Cybernetics is about halfway done. We know that lair, has it started?
Yeah, it's
okay, it has started, yes. So he needs to get that lair done ASAP because Stargate should be starting pretty soon.
well, these links could counterattack. I don't know if Zyky's aware that Protoss move out. Looks like they have speed. He's gonna go for the counterattack. 7 will easily kill this cannon.
Yeah, but now Zhanhun's in trouble. He has no backup cannon. Luckily, that Zealot popped out at a decent time. The probes did a pretty good job to limit the amount of damage. Only 4 links get into the main, but it's speed links, and that's a big time problem. However, 5 Zealots are counterattacking. There's only 4 Zealots or 4 links for defense right now, and that's a great angle for Protoss. He needs to get into the sweet spot between, like, right where he is right now. That would limit the surface area of the lings. Oh man, if he holds position at the eggs, he could trade super effectively. That Zealot kind of bled off though, and that Zealot might bleed off too. Lings, there's only 1 remaining, and I think Zyky's gonna hold this base, while also Zhanhun's gonna hold his main.
Well, it's still 3 Zealots. Looks like Zyky actually made drones here. Felt confident he had enough lings. Oh, looks like the Zealots are pretty low, but none of them are in the critical red. Looks like 1 finally gets taken down. Still 2 alive here. Not a lot of drones have gone down, but this is forcing a lot of lings out of Zyky.
Yeah, it's also a lot of lost mining time. Now there's a full drone pull in the main. We already know there was a full drone pull in the natural. 2 Zealots are going to try and take down this Spire. They might get it because they are pretty healthy. Drones are going to have to be pulled off. Look at it. Spire is going to die, and it's not canceled. That's a big deal. That's 200 minerals, 150 gas, and Stargate's done. In fact, Corsair should be out on the map. Maybe that's at top left, or maybe that's a single Zealot.
Yeah, that's catastrophic. And see why Zyky didn't want to cancel, because now his scourge timing is going to be really late. That's another Zealot harassment, another drone pull, and looks like Zyky's getting picked apart. Looks like another Zealot going into the natural. These 3 lings, if they're damaged, they won't be enough to deal with it.
Yeah, and now finally there is a Zerg going to top left. That's definitely needing that Overlord there, and now there's multiple problems for Zyky. He's got to manage his Overlord count. He's got to deal with these Zealots that are still alive. He takes it down with a drone, and he's got to rebuild his drone count because he took quite a bit of damage from those Zealots. He's in big time trouble. Meanwhile, Zhanhun, what's he to fear? He doesn't fear anything right now. He can just power to his heart's content and just really start ramping up these Overlord kills.
Looks like we're forced into spores here. This is very awkward. I think even at least one of these Overlords could go down. Looks like the Zealot count is low, but that's not an issue when you've done so much damage to Zerg. You know Zerg is going to be pretty far away. Like, you can see the Corsairs will just ignore the 1 spore, get another Overlord. Looks like 1 Sair actually goes down. That's actually pretty bad because Zyky's actually going to go into mutas. And you can see Protoss is scouting.
Oh my god.
We are going to get even another Overlord, so Zyky's pretty deep into the red here.
Yeah, Zyky's just perma supply blocked. Now, if you're Protoss in this position, what do you think Zhanhun should do? I mean, there's no pressure on him right now, right? Like, there's nothing coming at him. You think he should expand? You think he should gateway flood? Go goons? Like, if he goes goons, he can start killing hatcheries from a distance?
I mean, goons would actually be an incredibly strong play because you know Zerg is going to be forced into mutalist. And why you think mutalists do well against goons, they only do well because they're more mobile. If you have support with Corsairs, then all of a sudden the mutalists do nothing. And if you could get ranged goons here, that's a lot of exposed hatcheries you can pick off. So, I mean, Protoss basically can't do anything. They could take a third of 4 gateways. They could go for Zealot Archon timing, knowing Zerg is a mutalist. They have a lot of options here.
I'm just looking at that probe count. It is pretty much perfect on 2 bases. He's got a lot of eco waiting for the gateway flood. We see 3 of them coming in now. That puts him at 5 gate. I feel like there's almost nothing Zhanhun could do that's wrong here. He's going to go for a pressure with the Zealots. There's only 1 sunken. 4 lings. Those Zealots should have +1 weapon too. So they're going to murder this base, and supply gap is huge. It's a 40 supply lead. Zyky only has 40 supply. I think he may just outright lose right here unless the drone drill is fantastic, which it is, but there's still 3 Zealots on that top sunken.
Yeah, we need something like 8 lings to come here and help, but it looks like the drones actually pick off a couple Zealots, and there's still a ling left over, so actually the Zealots actually get dealt with. The Corsairs aren't here to support, and I mean, fantastic defense from Zyky there.
BSL is way too epic.
Mutas are finally out, but the Zerg count has not been dwindled down at all. I think it's only at 3, so it's not an overwhelming amount, but as soon as he sees these mutas, you know he's just going to build a couple more. It almost feels like Sziky kind of has to go for, I would say, like a mass muta Scourge timing and just try and bust him, but there's no way you're going to bust. There's 6 Corsairs, plus 1 weapon is going to finish pretty soon, even a 7th Corsair coming in. And what does Sziky have behind it? I mean, he's got a decent drone count, but he just doesn't have any real units.
Yeah, this is awkward because you're still on 5 hatch. If you're gonna go mass muta, yeah, we already saw an Archon. I feel like losing those zealots kind of gave Sziky some breathing room, because imagine if this attack had those zealots, the Archon, and the Sair support. How does Sziky actually deal with that? I think with the zealot count being this low, he might have a shot here to hold on. Still, it's gonna be hard with all these Sairs in the air.
Yeah, Sim City's great. I love this double sunken. I love the hatchery, and I even love the 3rd sunken coming up. Okay, he's got to be careful not to lose these Sairs. He loses 1, 2, 3 Sairs, and now all of a sudden it's only 3. There's an Archon here, but okay, the Archon actually gets a couple of Scourge kills. The Scourge are not going to connect. However, now all of a sudden Sziky might actually hold this attack, and another Scourge falls. Mutas are still alive. Sunkens are still alive. 6 Zealots are going to die. The Archon is going to die too. That's a big loss. And we were at 83 supply to 43 a moment ago. All of a sudden it's 100 to 72, and Sziky has 6 hatch production with good econ.
Yeah, and another thing, I think he's going to have +1 carapace pretty soon. So getting those Sairs is absolutely massive. There it is. And Zerg has air superiority here. Getting the Archon as well. Like, you can see Sziky is in, from what looked like to be catastrophic position earlier. He's actually flipped the script. Now Protoss is actually making cannons in their main. They're fearful of the Mutalists, and this isn't even all in. Like you said, Sziky's economy is fantastic, and he actually has +1 carapace already. He went for carapace first. He has double evolution chamber, so that means he's gonna have +2 carapace and probably +1 melee attack. We're not seeing any Hydralist then at all.
Yeah, he might be pulling a page out of the Avilov playbook. He might be going into Hive. As you stated, I haven't seen a Hydrogen anywhere. That may be a Queen's Nest at his natural, in fact. And that is the Queen's Nest. So this is going to be Hive play. The Scourge and Muta count is still really high. With the +1 armor, the Sairs are going to have to run away. There's only 6 Corsairs right now. 3rd base has been denied. I don't know how we got here, but that's a dead Nexus. And now, Zhanhun's the one on the back foot. And Sziky's going to start taking his 4th base at mid-left.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But it happened so quickly. I mean, as Protoss, you got to be processing what you're seeing here. And I'm pretty sure he clicked on these links and he saw it was +1 carapace. And now he's thinking, oh crap, I only have +1 weapons. I actually went into armor after +1 weapons. Really wish I had +2 weapons, because now the links are actually going to do a fantastic job against the Zealots straight up. And with that 2nd evolution chamber and the Hive on the way, this is starting to look scary for Protoss. Looks like we have high Templars. Oh man, the Corsair count gets reset again, and we're only at 3. Looks like 4 non-stop Corsairs from Protoss, and I mean, he needs it. Now the Mutalists are probably going to go counter into the main if he doesn't have 3 cannons. Okay, it looks like he does have 3 cannons.
Yeah,
so this will be enough.
And Corsairs are very expensive. And basically, every time you kill a Corsair, that's like you're killing a Templar because they're so expensive. Mutas are going to pick off all of these cannons. There's only 4 Corsairs, so the Scourge, if they can, they can kill Corsairs easily. Now the main has been breached. I don't even know what the heck's going on in this game. Another Corsair might fall. There's no reaction from Zhanhun. Just now he's sending his Templars down to try and fend this off. But that's going to be a wasted storm because we know that's not really going to connect. Okay, he gets off a decent amount of damage there. Mutas are going to take a bit of damage from the Corsairs, but still 5 stay alive, and they're going to get away with their lives.
Yeah, now Protoss, maybe they're thinking their position isn't so bad because they're finally going to get this 3rd. Probe count is still very healthy, but wait for these links to have crack and +2 carapace. What is Protoss actually going to have to fight these links? Don't see a lot of Archons anywhere. Only have some High Templars. A lot of the gas is actually being spent on this non-stop Corsair production.
Yeah, I actually think that if Zhanhun's going to attack, this is probably his moment. He's got the 1-1 upgrades, I think. Zerg is only at 1-1, and crackling should not be done just yet. Because we know once crackling kicks in, you're not attacking with this army. You need more Archons, you need more Storm, you need more everything. So this is probably the last hurrah for Zhanhun. We've got a counterattack into the main. Probes are dying. Corsairs can't engage because there's Scourge. But that's a ton of blue Protoss. However, there's a lot of Lings. And crackling might actually be done now. Oh my
Somehow,
god.
Sziky spots his High Templar. Let's see, lone High Templar here. That's 2 Storms. Looks like there's more in the back. I mean, what's going on? Who's actually winning this fight?
They have crack. Look at that. They have crack. And these Zealots are all going to die. However, those are open Overlords. No, they're not. There's Mutas, there's Scourge. Are the Corsairs strong enough, though? That's a lot of Zealots left over, but they're very weak. And the sunken placement's amazing. Drone Drill would save the day. He doesn't even need it. There's just too many Lings.
And all the Corsairs actually got picked off. You can see just High Templars arriving now. They have no support. What at least they have +2. This game's over.
Yeah, this game, well, it is Zhanhun who has had epic games every single time. But just simply looking at it from an outsider's perspective, you think, okay, 4-base Zerg versus 3-base Protoss, who had a massive lead. It's over now. There's no chance for Protoss to come back. Also, we know that, oh, actually, did that say +2 weapon? The Zerg has 2 armor. So Protoss only has +1 weapon. And as you stated, you've got to be up in upgrades versus Lings, and he's not. So now his Zealots don't even trade effective anymore.
Yeah, you can see he's actually making more and more cannons in the main because he doesn't know if Sziky's going to follow up with more Mutalisks. Like, this is the rare scenario where Protoss can actually be afraid of just Ultralisk. Ultralisk Ling, you don't have a lot of gas. You invested a lot of your gas into Corsairs. Look at this army. It's 90% Zealots with a couple of High Templars to support. Sziky is banking a lot of minerals. He just spent all of his gas. I wonder what that went into.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably Ultras. There it is. And all he needs is really 1 Defiler for the Plague. The Dark, well, he doesn't even need Darkstorm because it's pure Zealot anyways, but 1 Plague would be fantastic because when it hits an army, it's hitting 90% Zealots. Now this hatchery felt a little far forward, but Sziky may be able to still, no, he's going to cancel it. And I guess that's the first win for Zhanhun in a long time to take down that base.
Well, we have double Forge for Protoss, desperately trying to get those upgrades. But I mean, we're gonna see the Ultralisk pop any second now.
Yeah, and Ultras are not exactly the greatest unit ZVP, but when they can get comboed with heavily upgraded Lings like this, with a single Defiler, and you have upgrade advantage versus Protoss, all of a sudden they're not so bad. They're going to soak up a lot of shots from the Archons too, and Archons don't have +3 weapons, so they don't even one-shot Lings. So Archons aren't even very effective, really. And really you need Goons versus this, but because he built so many Corsairs, he just has no gas. Even though he's on 3 gas right now, his main gas and that gas may be mined out.
I want to say you gotta go Reavers, but then Reavers are actually very exposed to shuttles when you don't have air control like this. Like, there's one there, but Carapace on these Scourge, they don't really care about that. Looks like another base is gonna be denied, but the Ultralisk count is growing. All Sziky needs is basically an open field to engage, and there's that 1 Defiler you were talking about.
Yep, and look at this. Imagine if he landed a Plague right there. That was like, what, 15 Zealots? They're still clumped up. Where's that sneaky boy? Where's the wiggly boy? There he is. He's looking for the downtown catch-up shot. He might find it right here. Interception, maybe? Can he land it? Oh, instead he just goes for the Dark Swarm. Dark Swarm not really that effective here because obviously this is majority. Oh, there it is. There it is. He hits a ton of Zealots, and all of a sudden these Zealots became very weak.
Yeah, it looks like the Ultralists are actually a little bit exposed here. Gonna get picked off, but you can see now the remainder of this Protoss army, just the Lings alone will be able to deal with this.
Yeah, and okay, there are maybe two Storms available left on these Templars. They're gonna morph into an Archon, but I don't think, yeah, that's look how fast that Templar died. Bye-bye. And, oh, Zhanhun somehow snuck a 4th base. If he can get this up and running, it would be back to 4 base versus 4 base, and he would have a fighting chance. But Sziky has so many minerals right now, but what we haven't seen is any harassment from Zhanhun. Once the harassment starts, I'm wondering whether Sziky can keep the pace or not, because Zhanhun had a lot of success on Good Night with his Templar drops.
Well, Lings have 3 carapace. Protoss doesn't have 3 weapons. These fights, once they start to happen, like this is going to be a much better fight. If he can land the plagues first, the Protoss army is in the open. Much easier to get us around, really limiting the effectiveness of the Archons of the Storm. It's like Sziky spots his base, and now this should trigger Sziky into just going for it. There's no reason to hold back. He doesn't even have to attack necessarily that base, but he can attack the 3rd, and then pivot to the 4th, maybe get some drops in. I feel like this is going to be just Sziky attacking relentlessly now.
Yeah, that's a good plague. That's a good dark swarm, but I'm kind of getting worried for Sziky because that's a lot of Archons. There's still a lot of Zealots left over. That's a dead base 100%. But there's no lurkers, right? Like there's no Hydra Den, there's no lurkers under dark swarm. It is just Lings and Ultras. However, those Lings massacred that base in an instant, and I don't know what I was worried about because Protoss just lost 50 supply in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, you can see the thing about Ultralists is they're actually really bad straight up against Archon Zealot. But if you get them under swarm, then all of a sudden you're dealing core damage with your Archons, and your Zealots basically are not doing anything. Now, yeah, this is why this style is so difficult to deal with. You can just see, attack one base, army gets cleaned up, attack another base, there's no army to defend it.
Yeah, and I would say it's the first time all season long I saw Zhanhun make a big mistake there. He had a massive lead, literally 80 supply versus like 39 or something. I don't know how big of a lead you need to take down Sziky, but apparently it wasn't enough, and it really came down to the Corsairs. The fact that Zerg was able to kill so many Corsairs, it allowed him to crawl back into the game. So you know Zhanhun's going to keep that in mind going into Game 3. He must keep those alive, but in fact he must win here, because if he doesn't, he's out. That's it. This is just best of 5. It's not best of 7.
Yeah, that 80 to 40 supply lead with Zerg constantly supply block. Sziky basically had no units. He had Sunkens to defend, and then that one Archon that was defending the Corsairs, but Sziky had fantastic control with the Scourge to just constantly pick off Corsair here and there. Like really like turn the tide, because it looked so dominant for Protoss, then all of a sudden it looked even. But then you start looking at the details. Sziky already has +1 carapace. Sziky's actually going to hide very quickly. Protoss doesn't really have any Archons left over. A lot of Corsairs went down. Maybe like 15 Corsairs went down this game. And I mean, Sziky looked really dominant in the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Zhanhun, that was his map pick. So that means we're back on Ziky's map pick. And
Yeah, it's going to be Monopoly.
Oh, we're going to be going into a break, and then we'll be back with Game 3, potentially the last game of the series, so don't you go anywhere. back, guys. We're going to be going into Game 3 in just a second. It's Sziky's pick. He's up 2-0, the one game away, and he's decided Monopoly is going to be his go-to pick. And this is apparently a very hard map for Protoss. Terran did very well in ASL. Terran's done very well in BSL. And now ZVP. I also don't think Protoss is favored here. However, Zhanhun has had good harassment, and if he can get some good harassment done, there are open mains, there are a lot of open basins to harass, but if he's ever out of position, the counterattacks that we've seen Zeke go for will be devastating, because it takes a long time to get back to defend your base.
Yeah, I agree. Well, particularly against Terran, this is one of the hardest maps to go anything other than carries on. Just Arbiter is difficult, Gateway Man's difficult. Against Zerg, I think Protoss actually has a better chance, but even then, it's not the greatest map for PvZ. And looks like we are actually ready already to go into this third match.
Well, we are going to be going in right now, actually. So let's get into Monopoly. It's match point for Sziky. Can he do it? Or does Zhanhun come back, set the score 2-1? Okay, in the bottom left position, one game away from third place. It's Sziky.
And in the mid-right position, we have Zhanhun. He's really got to win this time. He's shown he can take it to the late game, but Sziky just managing to get a better position in game 1 and then just completely overwhelm him in game 2.
Yeah, and if I was Zhanhun here, I'd be very worried to go up against the Hive play again. Because if I was Sziky here, just simply how effective it was, I would go for it again. And in fact, I hope he does. And I hope we see the Larva-S style, which is split the map, but it's a 3-player map. So take top left, take the natural, and then just try and play a late game with Hive. You saw how punishing the Lings were with the heavy upgrades. So I'm hoping we get to see that, but I don't think I've ever seen Sziky play that style. That seems to be an Avilov specific style. So we're probably just going to see normal play from Sziky.
There are only, I think, 2 foreigners I've seen go for that. I think Gorinich and Avilov. Other than that, everyone always goes for the close third. And that's how can be very strong, as we've seen. And looks like we finally have something different from both players. Sziky not going for that 9 pool, instead going for the overpool, and this is gonna be probably a Forge expand.
Well, it could be a Forge expand. I think it might actually be Nexus first, because this is an overpool.
This could definitely be Nexus first. It looks like we're getting ready now. With the probe going down, I think this is gonna be Forge. But 12 Forge into Nexus is still strong economically against overpool.
Yeah, if this was a different map, I think this would have been the Nexus, but because it is Monopoly and the rush position is actually surprisingly close, he is just going to go that first Forge first. Probe, will it be able to deny the hatch? The hatch should be going down in just a second.
Yeah, so he's already delayed it about,
oh my gosh,
6-7 seconds. Sziky actually made Lings and drones before making this hatch, but the probe is actually pretty low. Only 2 more hits would have taken it out.
Yep, and there's the Nexus follow-up, and then it's going to be Cannon, and then Gateway. There we go. So still a good opener for Zhanhun. He has the appropriate response, and these Lings should not do any damage. Now, was that an additional drone or more Lings? I think that was an additional drone, so it's just 4. Nope, it was more Lings. I thought I saw a couple more Lings. So 6 Lings here. That means Zhanhun's going to have to pull some probes to make sure that this cannon doesn't get run by.
Now, 1 cannon is going to be done, but it can get run by. He will have the gateway to limit the area, but with only 1 probe, it's not going to be a full block. Sziky could go for it here.
Okay, he is going to run by. The probes do get there in time, and only 2 are going to get in. So nice defense, but still a couple sneaking by.
Now, this could have been catastrophic. Instead, it's only going to be pretty bad. Because 2 Lings, you think, well, we saw 2 Lings in game 1, but there's no Zealots. And now, you can see his gateway is about to complete, but still, the Zealot build time, then the time it takes for Zealots to get into the main. This is going to be a lot of damage. He's gonna be forced to pull probes pretty frequently here. Like this gas might be taken out. This tech is gonna be slow. He's gonna be forced into Zealot before core. That's almost a dead probe there. He's like,
yeah. That probe thought he was a Zealot and wanted to take those 2 lings 2-on-1. There's a dead probe this time around, or this time, and Zhanhun needs to be careful. Like, he can't bleed off 3 probes like he did on Good Night. This assimilator might actually die, like you said, and that would be massive because he may not even be able to get down his Stargate unless he mines enough gas here before it dies. Multiple probes being pulled off now.
There's one low lane. That's why we see Protoss being this aggressively. There, finally gets taken out. Now, one lane is not enough. You can see the Zal actually moved out. This is to distract Sziky. The assimilator is still actually getting attacked. It's on like 200 HP only. We might see even another probe get picked off. Looks like no good control here from both players.
Yep, and this is just 2 lings. Okay, there's the 4 lings to deal with this Zealot. That's more than enough to kill a single Zealot, unless he can get into the sweet spot like that. But I was like, okay, can lings not fit through there? However, look at that stutter step micro. He's gonna pop that ling, and he might be able to take down all 4 of them. He does. Now he's finally gonna get cleaned up, but that was really good control by that Zealot.
Well, the Ling in the main's still alive. And one of the benefits of keeping the Ling here is also he's going to get free scouting. This Overlord can retreat faster. And another Zealot has been sent out. I don't think Sziky has the adequate number of Lings, so that's another drone pull. This is a lot of damage to get done with just minimum amount of Zealots.
Yep, and there is that Zealot denying the 3rd base. So even though the Ling or the 2 lings got a decent amount of damage done in Protoss's base, and it's still alive. It's racked up 3 kills. Even though it's gotten 3 kills, I would say that the Zealot has done a decent amount in return. He hasn't killed that many drones, but he did force the drones to reposition themselves at the Nat.
Well, it looks like Protoss is actually afraid of a Ling on lane. Of course, he doesn't have an eye on how many Lings were actually produced. It looks like the Corsairs are finally made. He's getting +1. There's a 4th hatch from Sziky, but with I mean, this Zealot has done so much damage. Sziky is not mining optimally here. There's a lot of drones at the natural that could be here. Zealot finally gonna get taken out, but he's also gonna take 2, maybe 3 lings. Looks like just 2. But if you combine that with the one that got 4 earlier, definitely worth it there for Protoss.
Yep, and more Zealots are going to be moving out. It's just 3, though. I don't think Sziky has any idea these 3 are moving out, so he may be able to catch, or Zhanhun may be able to catch Sziky a little bit off guard. 8 lings, though. I think this is somewhat of an even trade, 8 lings versus 3 Zealots. First Sarah already out. So far, no Overlord kills. Okay, now definitely the Zealots are not going to trade favorably here. It's like 10 ling versus just 3. You can see the first Zealot gone, second Zealot about to die, and that is going to be easy cleanup for Sziky. Meanwhile, the Sayer will get 1 kill, but will be forced to retreat now because Scourge and Mutas should be on the way.
Yeah, basically, with the way Lings work against Zealots, if you don't have speed, you want 4. If you have speed, 3 is enough. So you can see you just easily get that surround and then deal with them pretty easy. Is he gonna go for the Ling? Okay, I thought he was gonna go for the Ling attack so that the cannon would actually shoot the Lings, and if the Corsairs stop because they feel secure, then they get killed by the Scourge.
Yeah, if that Zealot didn't pop out just in the nick of time, I think he would have gone for it because the Lings could have... Well, the Lings flat out probably could have killed the cannon. It's 5 Lings. And then also potentially get a Sayer. So good timing on that Zealot to pop out. 1 Scourge, or actually 2 Scourge might die there. This time around, we do not see the fast hive rush. We do not see a 3rd gas for Sziky. So I don't think it's going to be Mutas. And he does have the Hydra Den.
So he's going into standard 5 hatch here. After that, opener, and Protoss actually going into heavy Corsair investment with +1. We finally have speed, but with the early attacks, this isn't going to be that scary. I think you shouldn't be fearing the Zealot pressure attack here. Second gate was actually also pretty late. Like, it only just finished now.
Yeah, a lot of times you see the gateway flood in full force, like 5-6 gate already by the 8-minute mark, but to just see the second one really completing right now, there's not a lot of production available for Zhanhun. He's kind of stuck, and meanwhile, 6th hatch is going up for Sziky, so he's already got the ball rolling. The longer the game goes, the more worried I am going to be for Zhanhun, because his mid game is just going to be kind of lackluster, I imagine. I imagine that Zerg will probably have a ton of Hydras, a ton of Lurkers, and be able to get their 4th base set up if they want to pretty easily. We also see Evolution Chambers done, and it's been done for a little while, so may already be halfway through +1 weapon.
Yeah, and now the spawns are actually something that concern me a little. This is not ideal for Protoss, where you have to expand towards Zerg, because if, say, Protoss were to take top right, that's so far away from its natural. Probably want to take that close space, but then you're expanding towards Zerg, and it becomes a little bit difficult to deal with counterattacks. So we see Sziky ramping up the production. This is a lot of Scourge that are coming in here for a flank. Potentially could kill several Corsairs here, and Sziky's already at the front. It's only 2 cannons. High Templars are actually pretty late. If Sziky hadn't, if Sziky knew these High Templars were so low energy, he would actually pretty go for it. With 6 hatch production, even if Protoss has stormed, if they don't have... Oh, there's a flank gonna get 2. Looks like 3 of the Corsairs. Whoa, huge tip from Pure Pat. We're almost at that 5,000. We're only $100 away, so thanks everyone in the chat, all the viewers who have contributed.
Yeah, massive donations today. I saw a couple $100 and $150 donations just a few moments ago. Thank you so much. Everything adds up. We're now just $91 away from BSL14, and we've still got another whole series to go, so I know for a fact we're going to get there. And those Corsairs, half of them died to those Scourge. I love how Sziky had the Hydras in front, and he knew that there's no way Protoss was watching those Corsairs, so he takes advantage of that, pops 3 or 4 of them, and of course, just like Eon Zerg and True Touch, you can never lose your Sayers versus these Zerg players. They will muta switch you in an instant. I would say, luckily for Zhanhun, he's going to lose only 1 Sayer here and actually confirm that there is a muta switch.
Yeah, and this Scourge actually going to even spot this Zealot counterattack. And you can see Protoss already making additional cannons in the main. But this is a lot of Hydralists, a lot of production for Zerg. Zerg can even take a 4th base, 7th hatch here, and just use the Mutalist to pick off stray units, some High Templars. Looks like these Zealots are going to be forced to retreat. Going to take some damage from the Mutalist, but I don't think any will go down.
Yeah, those Zealots will get away with their lives, but look at the comp of Protoss. It's Mass Zealot with Templar, and it's only 2. And with the 11-minute mark, a lot of times you see Protoss moving out with 1-1 upgrades, or even, I'm not sure if they can have 2-1, I don't think so, but you see the Goon Flood already completed. Like, you already see 12 Goons out in the map. There are no Goons. There are none. So these 7 mutas or whatever it is can actually deal a lot of damage to these Zealots anytime they move out. And now we've got that Lurker switch that you were talking about, skipping the range, going into fast Lurkers, and there's a 4th base going up. Zhanhun is in real trouble right now.
Yeah, and another drone round actually made, so he's going to saturate this 4th base pretty quickly, and we're at very low Dragoon count, so we can actually go for this contain. Like, normally it's risky to go for the contain here, but when you know Protoss only has Zealot High Templar and the High Templar count is low, definitely worthwhile.
Well, he doesn't get any of the Templars, but he got both of the Storms, so kind of he did. The Lurker contain is set up, the Observer just popped, and this Gateway and Forge placement is not going to help him get outside of his base now. That's a Goon that's already gone. There's no armor upgrades. There's 5 Lurkers. Zerg has 4 bases. How do you get out of this now? Like, can he get out of it? Does he need to go Reavers?
I think if he can't go now, then he's in big trouble. Like, you can see he's going to kill his own Gateway, and I mean, probably the Forge, but I think an upgrade is about to finish, so he's not going to go for that quite yet. But you can see 6 more Lurkers about to complete, and Zerg is rallying all their hatchers here.
Yeah, once these Lurkers get up, I think it's lights out for Zhanhun. He must get out. And the problem for him is, like I said, the Goon switch was too late. He has no map presence now. He's stuck with basically 50% Zealot, 50% Goons. And the choke is just so tiny. Like, he moves out, and it's just a massive arc of, what is that, 6, 7 Lurkers in the front line? And then there's even more behind it.
You know what's also hurting him? He only had 2 High Templars. So once you start switching into Dragoons, you're eating all your gas. And if you don't have those early High Templars with energy banked up, like, he's going to make High Templars now, but they're going to have 50 energy. It's going to be a while before even they have Storm. So even if he gets that, it's going to be very hard for him.
Good storms, but the problem is there's just not any more storms after this. There's so many lurkers. However, there is not that much Hydra support. But look, there's still 8, despite all that, there's still 8 lurkers. However, Goonzilla can beat this. Sziky is trying to get here in time, but Zhanhun may have actually found his only window of opportunity, and he does actually break through the contain.
Man, that was so close. If these Hydras had been here as he was breaking out, would have been a very easy hold for Sziky. Being said, looks like it's going to be a trade, which is actually terrible for Protoss. You don't want to be losing these Dragoons when you're only on 2 base. You know Zerg already saturated that 4th base. This is a fantastic trade for Sziky nonetheless, even if Protoss actually breaks out here. Like, Zyky's going to be able to regroup very quickly here.
Protoss does break out, and I know the Sares were actually getting a few Overlord kills, so this could supply block Sziky, and even if it doesn't, that's, you know, every Overlord's 100 minerals, so that's a lot of resources that Sziky doesn't want to spend right now. So he not only gets out, he gets some breathing room, he puts down a 3rd base in CRVT. He's done it. He has put us over the edge. We are over 5,000. Thank you guys so much. So we do have BSL15 confirmed, and I know it's going to be just as fantastic as BSL14 because the players so far have really shown up, and I imagine there's even I'm pretty sure there's probably even more strong Chinese players that want to play now that they're seeing how well Chinese players are performing in BSL and how exciting the games are. But we've got another huge contain at the 3rd base. There's so many lurkers. All the Zealots are taking all the lurker hits, and they're gonna melt.
It's like the Dragoons in the back doing a really good job, but you can see all the Zealots actually went down very quickly there. There's still a couple lurkers. There's no Storm left over. This 3rd, you see the problem with this 3rd, it's just so close to Zerg. Zerg is going to be able to reinforce this position so quickly here. Protoss has no gas. You can't go Dragoon High Templar off just 2 gas. You can see he's really struggling to get units out here.
Yeah, Dragoons are dying left and right. That's a 4th Storm that he doesn't want to use on 4 Hydras. He wants to wait for it to be a higher number. And that base is going to be potentially broken. Look at the main. Down to 3 patches that have maybe like 25 minerals each. That's it. Natural's going to be cleaned up, or going to be dry pretty soon. That's a dead Templar. And that's a dead Nexus in just a second, unless Zhanhun can get out here and actually clean up this small Hydra ball.
And Sziky's done it, man. Just the engagement earlier as he broke out. Like, Protoss broke out, sure, but they had to fight, and they lost so many Dragoons. And remaking Dragoons, when you really just want to make Zealot High Templar, it puts Protoss in a huge deficit. And you can see Sziky running away with this now. He has 4 fully healthy bases, and just fantastic control, picking off the units left and right.
Yeah, unfortunately this army is probably Zhanhun's last stand. There's so many lurkers, there's so many Hydras. He just doesn't have anything that trades effectively versus Zerg right now. There's so many Overlords here, which is hilarious. They soak up all the hits from the Dragoons while all the Zealots die. And look at that, Nat's gone, that's it.
Main's gone. It kind of reminds me of when Terrans float their barracks and then you're fighting, but all your Dragoons are shooting the barracks. You had all the Dragoons shooting the Overlords there.
Yeah, and the lurkers move into position. Sziky knows this is his moment. Every player knows that around 17 minutes is when you mine out. He knows that as long as Protoss doesn't get out, this is it. And he now he definitely knows because he saw all the probes transfer down to bottom right. So Sziky, congratulations to him. He's finally going to make a 3rd place finish. He got into the semifinals, or he got into the 3rd and 4th place match 2 times previously in a row. And now finally here he is securing 3rd place. Congrats to him. But Zhanhun, even though he loses here, what an impressive showing in BSL. The first game of the day, I thought, okay, this is going to be another epic PvZ series. It was one of the best PvZs I've seen, a 45-minute good night game. Then kind of fell apart on Ascension. And I don't even think he necessarily played poorly on Monopoly. It was just Sziky too strong on that map.
Yeah, we saw, like, when you go Mutalist, you actually force Protoss into a decision. Do I make more Corsairs or I go Goons right away? And he actually went for more Corsairs, so it delayed the Dragoon production, and Sziky capitalized on that with that Lurker contain. And then we saw he only had 2 High Templars. And if you're going into Goons with only 2 High Templars, you can't actually afford more. So he never had that composition you want, where you have like, I don't know, like 18 Zelts to support a large Dragoon ball with like 4 or 5 High Templars with 2 Storms each. That's really what Protoss is looking for, and you couldn't get that in this last game.
Yeah, just never had the comp to beat what Sziky was throwing at him. The Sares were ramping up a lot of Overlord kills, but then he lost them all in the Mute Switch. It's just happens sometimes. But that is going to be the end of our 3rd and 4th place match. And now we are finally into the match that we have all been waiting for. A rematch from last season. Can Mihu do it again? Can he make another championship for himself? Or is it finally the Walt's time? You know he wants it bad, especially after last season losing to Mihu, and especially after the delay where he was mega tilted. We're going to go into a break, and then we'll come back, and we've got a very epic finals coming at you.